Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun Benzion. Today's daf is Yevamos Tet 119. The Gemara discusses in explaining our Mishnah on daf Tet and Aleph, Machlokes between Rameir and the Rabbanon. Rameir is his famous shita is Chayish Lemiyuta. We don't go after Rov. Even if you have a Rov of something, it's Choshesh Lemiyuta. Now, obviously, there's exceptions to this. We know that by Teisha Chanuyos and Sanhedrin, we're not Choshesh Lemiyuta. We go after Rob. Achari Rab Lahatos is in the Torah. Meir's not going to argue on Rab Lahatos. He's obviously agrees when it comes to Aruba the Isakaman, Aruba the Leisakaman, where it's just statistics, right? Where the Gemara mentions something. Most women, when they get married, they have kids usually right away. Rov Nashim happen. They don't have problems having children. That's a Rov. That's a statistical Rov. It's not like a Chazaka Mashtach Yadav Shalom. Right? We assume that whatever a person's in his possession belongs to him. That's human nature. That's right. It's something that would never change. But Aruba Deleisa Kaman is based on current statistics. It would change based on if the statistics in the world changed, right? For some reason, women stopped having children, or they started making a medicine that was harmful that they gave to women that stopped them from having children. And that rove can change. The Gemara is just saying presently, until we know better, there's a rove. And most women, when they get married, they're going to have a child pretty quickly. So they're going to conceive and have a child. So that's a statistical role, but it's laced the kaman because it applies to the whole world. It's not Isa kaman is when you have 10 stores, right? 10 kosher butcher shops and one non-kosher butcher shop. Or you have a Sanhedrin, you have 23 dayanim, and 12 acquit, and 11 say ischayev. So you go after the acquittal, or 12 are mechayev, and 10 acquit. So you go after the robe, and you're mechayev the guy, mechayev and misa. So that's the Ruba the Isa Kaman, where there's a set number of people, an identifiable number of people, not the whole world. So that's Ruba the Isa Kaman. And the Gemara says, by Ruba the Isa Kaman, the Gemara says in Chulin, Acharei Rabban Lahato, called the Parish, Meruba Parish. You go after whatever is separated from the stores. You found a piece of meat in the street. In front of, right, it was a strip mall, and they had 9 kosher butcher shops, and 1 non-kosher butcher shop. So you find a piece of meat, you can assume there's no marking on it, it's kosher. That's a stronger role, but these come on. And the Gemara at one point tried to say, according to the Rabbanon, that the Rabbanon agree they could fit into our Mishnah, because even though they hold Rubudi Isa Kaman, we're not choshish for the Miyah, or Rubudi Isa Kaman, we are choshish for the Miyah. The Gemara relents and says, no, the Rabbanon proves some stress and islandness, that we're not choshish the Miyah, even Rubudi Isa Kaman. Now, according to the Rabbanan, who we paskin like, maybe we're choshish for a mayor lechumra, but mikar adin we paskin like the Rabbanan. We're not choshish l'minita. Rov works both beis kaman and leis kaman. You see clearly from the Gemara that rov beis kaman is stronger than rov leis kaman. But the Gemara even on Kufi Yoteram Beis says that a rov the leis kaman, which we're talking about, a woman having children, is stronger than a chazaka. The Gemara says in Mafurish on the top of Kufi Yoteram Beis. The chazaka lo adif ki ruba. Chazaka is not as strong as ruba, even a ruba d'leisakaman, which the Gemara is talking about. So, what is the strength of ruba d'leisakaman, and what is the strength of ruba d'isakaman? So, if a chazaka, which is a status quo or human nature, a chazaka it means assumption. We can assume one thing. I mentioned many times that's like 75%. You know, like sveka, we call a kulo over there also because you have 75% chance that it's mutter. Right, one suffix 50%, and another suffix combine that with half 50%, 25%, 75% chance is a chazaka. We go with the chazaka, and we even punish people with chazakas, and we even rely on tuma and tara with chazakas, and isurim on chazakas. We're allowed to rely on things like that for chazakas. But for certain things, you need more proof. For example, dinei mamanis and motzi michael raya for erva, right? Erva is hukush. Dinei Mamonis is davar. We learn from erva arayos from dinei Mamonis. It's just like dinei Mamonis, you need shtei edim. Also by arayos, you need shtei edim. In order to mekadesh, you need shtei edim. Gerishin shtei edim, right? Sota shtei edim. You need shtei edim. You need a higher proof. Now we mentioned previously, shtei edim is not 100% proof. Shtei edim is, I would like to say, 80% proof. 80% is considered a vada, almost a vada. And then we have something higher, which is universal knowledge where everyone knows something and it's a fact in the world, no one's going to disagree with it. That's 100% proof, or close 99.9% proof. That's considered a classical birur. It's a clarification. It's not a birur. It's a gediyah. It's a knowledge. Birur is clarification. There is a little bit of a suffix, 20% chance of a suffix, 80% proof. 80% is good enough to prove. Shtei edim has the koach of 2 edim. So we rely on that for dinei mamonis and for things like that. Now here, the Gemara says Ruba, even a lasik is better than chazaka. So the next thing we push it up to Ruba the lasik on is going to have to be like shtei edim. Ruba the lasik on a rov nashim. Most of the women in the world give birth. A rov children don't become a stris or an islandess, or rov nashim conceive right away. That would be a ruba delayis to come on, and that would have the koach of 80%, right? At least 80% shtei edim. But the Gemara is clear on daf kuf yud tet amud aleph that ruba delayis is even better, right? So what is ruba delayis? The Gemara classically says it's teisha chanuyos, right? 9 are selling kosher, 1 selling, all right, called the parish meruba parish. It's like bureau, it's clarification. We could assume vada, it's the truth. To the point, even where you have that's 9-to-1 ratio. Well, let's say you have Sanhedrin. Achrei Rav Mahatos, you have 12 people saying Zaka and 1 person and 11 people Chayav. That's a little bit above 50% chance. Yet the Torah says Achrei Rav Mahatos. You lean it towards one way. Now, there's a difference between Bittul Barov and called the Parish Meruba Parish. Bittul Barov, which the Gemara does not talk about here, when you have a mixture of something like that, you have a mixture that's not nosin tam anymore, 60 parts meat and 1 part challah, the milk is absorbed in the meat. Bittul barov is sort of a nullification where I would say that's like almost 100%. It's like a yediyah. It wipes away. It doesn't give taste anymore. It's non-existent anymore. It's a mavatal, nullifies a rov. Here we're talking about achrei ram lahatos. Achrei ram lahatos, I don't think it's the makor for bittul barov. Achrei ram lahatos means you lean it in one direction. It's talking about Rubudi Isakaman by Sanhedrin. That's what it's talking about. Rubudi Isakaman is by Sanhedrin. You have dayanim in front of us. It's a quantifiable measurement. You have 23 dayanim. You have 10 stores. So the point is, even if you have 12-to-1, when you have 54% chance, we still tilt that and we say it's as good as. So we're left here. Either you could say it's a 90% chance, like the classical case of Teisha Chanuyas, or you could say it's 100% or 99.99%, like a Yediyah. I don't think it has a din of a Yediyah, because the Torah says lahatos, to lean it in one direction. Leaning in one direction does not mean we ignore the other side. Bittul barov is, you nullify the Isser, it's not existent anymore. Here it's lahatos. So I would go with the classical classification of Teisha Chanuyos. The reason the Gemara suggests that case of Teisha Chanuyos, a 9-to-1 ratio makes it a 90% proof. So Aruba the Isakaman would be an 80% proof. Aruba the Isakaman would be a 90% proof. Is there any practical difference between them? 90% proof or 80% proof? They're not a Yediyah. So we'll have to investigate that as we go through Shas. But if we say that Aruba the Isakaman has a 90% proof, like the Gemara suggests, Teisha Chanuyos, we'd have to explain why by Dayanim, when it's only 53%, why do we consider it to be a 90% proof when you only have 53% of the Dayanim saying one way? We'd have to say that, just like we've said before, when it's Chazik Yisur, you have a suffix, and it's 50% one way, 50% the other way, so to the point you're bringing Asham Taloi. So therefore, there's an assumption. Murphy's Law tells me we know there's an Isra over there, we go to Chumrah. Here, when there's a rov, is there an opposite of Murphy's Law? I don't know. The Torah says when it's quantifiable in front of us, and we have most of the judges, even if it's only majority by 1, that is enough for the Torah to go, there's an opposite of Murphy's Law. If it's in your favor, it's in your favor 90% of the way. We'll have to develop this more as we go through Shas. But that's what I want to say on today's daf. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.